Hey folks, Frank the PestGeek here. I got a question that I get often, but I got it today from a listener that sent me the question. It says, is Google Ads worth it? And now you have to evaluate the whole issue of you're doing Google Ads. He says, I am a one-man operation. Okay, so what do we know about ads? And I was just having another question today that somebody brought it up. Who's running Google Ads? So the last couple of weeks, I've gotten a lot of questions on ads and advertising. Okay, so one of the things that we have to get straight is the three things that does an ad in for people. And he asked, is it worth it? Well, we're going to answer that question. What does it in, because people do not understand the cost, the real cost of doing an ad. There is the ad cost, there is the ad management cost, and then there is the ad supervisory cost on your part. If you have running Google Ads and you're doing Google AdWords, which is what you're doing, there's a per click cost based on the group of keywords that you have. That cost is unknown until you run the ads and you start getting the data back. The issue is that most ad agencies know how to run ads. They know how to set up the ad because the ad can be very complicated. To try to run Google Ads, I run certain Google Ads that I'm doing as testing for different things and for CTR manipulation. But to set up a Google ad, learn how to set up a campaign, pick the keywords that you want in there, put the ad out, then you have to wait for the data to come back, which could take 1 month or 2 months, and identify negative keywords that you're ranking for that you don't want to rank for, because these are keywords that are not commercial intent keywords. In other words, somebody looking for what is the best ant product and you're ranking for that, that's never going to bring in the customer. Sure, you got a click, you wasted the click. So now you got 10, 15 clicks, let's say, and you can only get one sale out of it because you don't have the data. Data and testing cost money. You have to have at least 3 months of ad investment in order to test and refine the process, work with the ad agency that's doing it, and help them understand your business so that they can work with you in getting the right data in there. So you got to put it out, wait till the data comes back. The second thing that most people fail to understand about ads is that putting that you have 35 years of experience and you're the best doesn't matter in an ad. That an ad needs to have an offer that brings in that client to call you. What's going to make that ad cause someone who wants to buy the service to click it over your competitors' ads? Because you're competing. So that's number one, is there any resistible offer? In other words, if you're running an ad that says $49, can you get the customer you want? If you're used to getting referrals and those referrals are paying premium dollars because they were referred, their friends, family, friends of family, and you're able to charge $359 for an initial, now you have to compete in an arena where if all your competitors are doing $159 initial with, let's say, $49 a month on a 1-year contract with an auto pay, and you don't want to do that, then you just cut yourself out of the market. So if you can't do $49 initials when everybody's doing $49 initials in your market, because every ad that pops up has it, then can you finance that investment, because think about it, ads are an investment. And what people forget about investments is that investments don't pay you back immediately. Investments take time to mature in order to start paying you back. So in other words, you got to spend 2 to 3 months worth of testing if the ad agency doesn't understand your business, and then you got to tell them, yeah, we're ranking for these keywords based on the analysis. We're getting all of these keywords. Now, do you have the capability of analyzing that and scrutinizing it and being the chief marketing officer for your company? Because you're delegating the task. You cannot delegate the responsibility to the agency and say, I'm passing it on to you. You do whatever is best because I don't know what I'm doing. Well, you might not know how to set up ads, but you got to know how to manage your marketing. If you don't have a budget for marketing set aside, a budget is not, I have $2,000 to spend. I have $500 to spend. That's not a budget, because what you're not calculating in that budget is the financing you're going to have to do on the ad campaign. 3 months, let's say you do a test for $1,000 and you limit yourself to $1,000, and then you crank it up to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 once you get it, fine-tuned. Second, if you can't do an initial service because you need to eat that week, because you're depending on all these one-time services you got used to, where the customers don't stay, but you charge $300, $400, like we used to do. We charge $459 for an initial with 2 follow-up services included. That's a year's worth of pest control that most companies are charging $580 a year. So if now the company is charging $580 a year, which is like $49 a month, $89, $99 bi-monthly, or $99 or $129 a quarter, can you absorb the cost of the ad when you calculate how many clicks it takes to get a sale? Okay, to get a sale, whatever that number is, that's the cost of that ad. Now you have the cost of the sale. If you have to pay yourself a commission for going out or quoting that sale, how much is that costing? And then you have the cost of the service, and what does it cost to perform the service? So when you add up all those costs, you're somewhere between $150 and $250 to acquire that customer. If you don't have a long-term contract that customer is going to be financed for $250, that's going to take 3 to 4 months for you to make all that money back. Then you start making money on the account. The last 6 to 8 months out of the year, you make the money, and then that customer renews. And let's say you have a 20% cancellation rate, you got to factor that cancellation rate into your cost of doing marketing. So if you don't have a sales process in place that's going to go out there and sell, and let's say you do, all you're thinking of doing is GPC. Well, you have a $150 cost to acquire the customer. You charge $159. You make nothing. You make $9, excluding the sales cost, plus any follow-ups that have to be done on your dime. Let's say 20% of the cases, you got to do follow-ups. You got to factor that 20% in. Now you got a 20% cancellation rate. You got to factor that in. So what is the cost? Is it worth it? Well, you have to analyze all of these costs and then analyze if it's worth it for you. In the long run, it's worth it. But you have to have the capability to finance the venture just the same way you financed the business startup. You say, but I started with a can of spray and a gallon of bifenthrin and a used car that I had, and I drove all over town, and it was all referral business. I didn't have to work for it, really. I just asked my friends and family. Everybody started referring, but now I hit the wall at $75,000. I'm no longer getting referrals because you're too busy to keep asking for referrals. Now you're not getting them. Now you hit the wall at $100,000, $150,000. How much do you have a month to be able to put into to sustain the losses until you start regaining your money back? Again, you have to finance the venture. So always the question and the answer is it depends. It depends on you. If you don't have the KPIs in place to measure, because it is going to be your job and you have to make the time, which is a cost now that's added to that because you're the CMO. That's a hat you're wearing, the Chief Marketing Officer. And you're wearing that. There's a cost to managing that time. There's a cost to managing the sale. There's a cost to managing the lead. Because if you have to pay a person to answer those phones, because if somebody clicks on your page, sends a form, and you wait till the end of the day to get back to that client because you were busy in the field, you just paid $25 to get that person to click. Well, you got to answer that call immediately. When that person calls, it can't go to voicemail. It can't. Are you going to have somebody there to answer that phone whenever it happens? You can't run ads overnight. You got to run them in the daytime when you're answering those phones. So now you have a cost there. There's the cost of administration. There's the cost of the sale. There's the cost of overseeing. Plus, there's the cost of the ad agency is going to charge you for managing those ads. Because if you try to do it yourself, there's a huge learning curve. That's another story there because I learned to do it. But I could spend 1 week learning how to do this thing right now. It's so complicated. It used to be super simple. Facebook ads got super complicated. Everything is getting so complicated that the average person doesn't have the time or the patience because they don't have the money to sit there and learn it. In other words, give up your Friday nights, give up your weeknights, give up your Saturdays to spend it learning this for several months until you get it, until you test, and until you understand it. And then I'd suggest you take a course on Google Ads so you understand it. Okay, we're probably going to do a course on Google Ads and how to set those up and how to track them and how to do the negative keywords and how to figure out what you don't want to, but you got to wait again till the analytics comes back. So those are all the costs, and you have to analyze them and decide, is it worth it for me? Can I do this right now? See, just because something isn't going to work for you right now doesn't mean it doesn't work. I was just having a conversation with another guy who asked about Google Ads. I said, look, talk to this person. He talked about it. I'm no longer doing Google Ads. I'm not doing them. I'm doing LSA ads. They're working much better for me. Well, he tried LSA ads in his market. It didn't work for him. You see, you have to be able to try it, but you have to have the money and the patience and the time to do it right and see if it works for you. And that might cost you $2,000, $3,000, $6,000 to run that test. Can you stomach that loss if it doesn't work? Did you do it right? Did you have the right copy? Was the copy engaging? Did it make somebody want to? Did you have an irresistible offer? Did you run it in the right markets? You see, are you running it? You know, is your competitors running ads 24 hours? And every competitor in the market that's running ads 24 hours, well, now you need a 24-hour answering service to answer your calls 24 hours because you're going to have to do 24-hour ads. In other words, whatever your competition does, you either have to outdo them or do the same thing that they're doing. This idea that you're going to post an ad that says AAA pest control service, serving, South Florida since 1956, 28 years, 50 years of experience. That might work if you have a lot of money to throw at it. Because you're well known, you're in a small market, you're established, you're a 100-year-old company, you're a 70-year-old company, everybody knows you. The ads are really just competition. It's like putting up a billboard. Does the billboard work? You have to try it. Then you got to analyze, was there a good ad? Did we do A/B split testing with these ads? We tested this ad that had a good offer, and we tested this ad that had a good offer. Which one performed better? Did they perform the same? Now do we bring a third ad and test the third ad until we find the secret formula? That's what's really involved in running ads. It doesn't matter where you're running it, whether you're doing a billboard, whether you're doing an ad in a magazine, in a local magazine. It doesn't matter. The process. Learn the process of A/B split testing. Look into that. Look into understanding negative keywords. What does it really take to run an effective campaign? And there are guys doing it that I know are doing it with success, but they also have the money to throw at this, depending on the market you're in. One thing is trying to compete in Miami, trying to compete in Las Vegas, trying to compete in Los Angeles. You might be in a smaller market where you don't have, I've got 60 competitors within 13 miles. Not joking. That's how saturated this market is. So the amount of work I have to do to compete is much greater than somebody in a small town of 50,000 people. You see, so is it worth it? Without testing, without evaluating, without doing it, you're not going to know. You just got to know what the reality is. Talk to people that really know and say, look, I got this much to throw at this. Am I going to see any results in this market? And try to find a company that understands the market, that understands, your business, and that is willing to understand you're going to have to pay to learn and you're going to have to pay to play. This is Frank the Pest Geek wishing you a pestacular day.